Hello everybody and welcome to English Grammar with Ameya sir, and today we are going to study this wonderful poem Tansen. Now some poems are just immortal. They are studied by generations. You consider the example of Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars, you consider Abu Ben Adam, you talk about somebody's mother, the poem that we studied earlier, The Road Not Taken, and this is one such poem that I have studied as a schoolboy, and I love to teach such poems. Many years ago you studied it as a schoolboy, and now here you are in the capacity of a teacher preaching it to others. It's fun. It's really, it's the feeling is just awesome. Now we will deal with this in detail. Now what I am going to add here is, when we do a video, it's always in detail, and I try to share with you as much as it is possible. What I'm going to add here is information about the great Tansen. Now, I am very sure that there will be content, there will be things that you will listen to for the first time. What I insist you do is that you mention in the comments or send me an email about it and be honest about it. If there are things that you heard for the first time, be honest and let me also know. If the video is a little longer than usual, of course divide it into parts. You can watch it into 2 parts or 3 parts depending on the time that you have. But of course there is no doubt that you will totally enjoy studying this wonderful poem, the content and the additional information that I wish to share with you as usual. So we will start with the information about the poet. The poet is Inayat Khan, and 1882 to 1927. He was born in during the colonial rule, born in Baroda, then the Bombay Presidency, that's in the British India, of course, as I mentioned. And the textbook mentions that it is Hazrat Inayat Khan. Please keep in mind that Hazrat is the title given to him, the honorific title. Hazrat is the word. I would have loved it had the spelling been Hazrat. It's Hazrat. It's the honorary title. So Hazrat Inayat Khan is the right way to say it. His name is Inayat Khan. Now, his full name was Inayat Rahmat Khan Pathan. That's his full name, and he was a great believer in Sufism. That's important to know about him. Now about the poem. This poem has a narrative style. It is a narrative form of poetry. I've told you that previously. What is that exactly? It's when the poem is told in a format of a story. The next thing is that the arrangement of the poem, the lines, they have a couplet sort of an arrangement, 2 lines at a time, and therefore the rhyme scheme is AA. Now you can go ahead and write down that the rhyme scheme is AABB, but even if you stop at AA, it's okay because the arrangement is couplet, so it's AA. The poem has prolific use of chord mixing. Because this is related to Indian culture and roots, you will have a lot of words that are colloquial, meaning that they are Indian in origin, and that's why you refer to those words as chord mixing. You will have a lot of those examples. There is a lot of use of archaic words as well. Old words, words from the literature world which nowadays are seldom in use. You refer to those words as archaic words. And now on to something interesting. This is what I was talking about, and I will probably, remind you again that in case you really find something that you are listening to for the very first time, please be honest about it and let me know, because this is something that the students should know. I have been of the opinion that we need to rewrite the history textbooks a little bit. Not a little bit, quite a lot actually. Rewriting history, well, okay, fine. That's one thing. For the moment, as a teacher, what I feel essentially what we should do is to rewrite history textbooks, because our students and generation, needs to know who the real heroes are. There are many unsung heroes, and they are not given their due by historians, or maybe by historians, but not by the history textbooks. So it's a feeling that I want to share, that yes, we need to rewrite some history textbooks, sure. At the moment, I'll do my part by sharing more information about the great Tansen. So I'm sure that you will enjoy this. Now, this is the image that you see in the textbook, his meeting with his guru. So you see Tansen here, and the one who is singing for him, or rather for Akbar, is Swami Haridas. Tansen was a disciple of Haridas. Please remember that, okay? Tansen's real name was Ram Tanu Pandey. I repeat, Tansen, again, we saw, right? Hazrat was the title, Inayat Khan is the name. Similarly, Tansen's real name, the birth name, was Ram Tanu Pandey. And I bet that if there are Pandays listening to this, they'll love it. Ram Tanu Pandey was his name. And then this is why I'm saying that history textbooks, they don't really show you much. They don't showcase a lot of things. Another thing is, you know, that he was one of the Navaratnas, the court of Akbar. The other one was Birbal, and his real name was Mahesh Das. Birbal again is the title. Mahesh Das was his name. Similarly, Tansen was the title, his real name Ram Tanu Pandey. He was a disciple of Swami Haridas. That's what you see in the image. Of course, the textbook doesn't mention that, but I am sharing that with you. Tansen served in the court of the Hindu king Raja Ramchandra Singh, and then post the year 1562, he was in the Akbar's court. Remember, he served the Hindu king Raja Ramchandra Singh. Raja Ramchandra Singh. Now remember, we are talking about 1562. Now what we would believe normally without this information is that Tansen always was in the royal court of Akbar, and there he achieved all his name, fame and glory. Not quite. We need to know this, that he was at the royal court of Raja Ramchandra Singh, as we saw. That was until 1562. Now here is the thing. Akbar was so impressed with Tansen's singing that he actually sent messengers to the court of Raja Ramchandra Singh, and he requested that let Tansen join me and then sing in my court. We will be honored. Initially, Tansen refused this. He declined the offer. He said, why should I do that? Then it was Raja Ramchandra Singh who convinced Tansen that he should do so, because he thought, and he had a word with Tansen about this. He said that you are a class act. You're singing, you deserve a better stage. So I believe that if you sing in Delhi, if you sing in Akbar's court, that will put you on a global map. And so I think you should reconsider it. And that is why post 1562, Tansen actually started singing in the royal court of Akbar. This is something that you should know. And then his age was post 60, or at least around 60 years of age. So it's not that majority of his life was spent in the court of Akbar. It was only then that he started singing there. On another thing is, we will talk about the title. Okay, we need to know that as well. So the title was given by the ruler of Gwalior, Raja Man Singh. So Tansen was not the title given by Akbar. Raja Man Singh Tomar, who was the ruler of Gwalior, actually gave the honorific title of Tansen to him. We need to definitely remember these things, and I have no doubt about it, guys, that there are a few things that you're learning for the first time. Be honest about it, okay? And if you had already known this, wonderful. I'm not taking any credit away from you. Good for you. But there could be a few who definitely probably are, learning this for the first time. And there are a lot of such episodes from history. That's why I felt that there was a need to share this, that the history textbooks must be rewritten. And we should always honor the real heroes. There are many unsung heroes here in our country. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Now let's start with the poem. I'm going to start reading the poem, and as usual, you need to give me your 100% undivided attention. This poem is just wonderful. It's loaded with interesting figures of speech, and I have no doubt that you're going to enjoy this. Let's start. Tansen, the singer in great Akbar's court, won great renown through the Badashahi fort. Now, Renown means the state of being famous, reputed, with a wide popularity and reputation. WON should be pronounced as one, like ONE, one. Please do not make one kind of a sound there. It's one. You can see the rhyme scheme, fort is AA. It is the same throughout the poem. So Tansen won great renown and he was at the Badishahi fort, but I've already made it very clear that it's not just due to the Badishahi fort, he was always popular. It's just that after 1562 it served Akbar and accepted his request. Next, his voice rang like the sound of silver bells and Akbar ravished heard, the story tells. Now we are going to move to the story post this, but before that, ravished is the word to learn. Ravish means filled with delight, intense delight. Enraptured is the other word I wanted to share with you. Let's see what we can study as far as language study is concerned. Well, there are homophones to be studied. IN and INN, in. Try to find out the meaning. GREAT, great, and GRATE. I already talked about one and one. Off, OF and OFF, and heard, HEARD and HERD, heard. Well, these words are homophones. So, what are homophones? Homophones are the words where you have the same pronunciation but different spelling and meaning. Such words are homophones. I'm sure you remember that. We have discussed that on multiple occasions. What can we study as far as the grammar is concerned? The figures of speech, of course. His voice rang like the sound of silver bells. Figures of speech, it's simile. Tansen's voice has been directly compared with the sound of silver bells. That's why simile, please be careful with the spelling. SIMILE, simile. I really feel sad for kids, they get it wrong or rather lose half a mark because of the incorrect spelling. Don't let that hurt you, okay? The next one, and Akbar ravished heard, is inversion. The words are not in the correct order. The correct word order should be Akbar heard ravish. Well, that's how actually it should have been. Now, if you want, you can, as usual, pause the video if you want to make your notes. Please allow me to go to the next slide. Again, give me your 100% undivided attention. How the king praised him, gave him many a gem, called him chief jewel in his diadem. Now, talking of chief jewel, we have already discussed that he was one of those Navaratnas. So, and the word diadem probably might be new for you. It means the bejeweled crown. Okay. So, how the king praised him, gave him many a gem. Gem is a precious stone here, not the chocolate gems. Many a gem. Called him chief jewel in his diadem. Gem, diadem, again rhyming. One day, the singer sang the song of fire, the Deepak Rag, and burning like a pyre. Now, pyre is a heap of combustible material for funeral ceremony. In the Hindu culture, you have a pyre, and during the final rites, you'd see it. The pronunciation is pyre, Pyre. And you see that there is something interesting in language study. Look at the word rag and look at the small punctuation mark there. I'm sure you've noticed that, guys. So that is known as a circumflex. That is known as a circumflex. Guys, I bet you there will be a lot of things that you're learning fresh right now. You have got to admit and post it or send an email to me, because then that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. My videos must add to your knowledge. I've always said this. Do not watch my videos when you are in great haste, because you'll derive nothing. You'll draw nothing from it. Whenever you have time, watch my videos, but watch it properly. Watch them properly, because you will learn. Unfortunately, what happens is in some schools where the teachers are fresh graduates, they don't have that much of teaching experience, they may dismiss such things, or as good as dismiss them by saying that it's printing mistake or something like that. No, it's a punctuation mark. It's known as a circumflex. You can clearly see how it looks, and this symbol shows that there is rising and a falling pitch, rag. rag. So there is a rise and fall of a pitch, and that is shown using what we refer to in literature as circumflex. Please remember such things. It's a nice thing to remember. Don't study just for marks. And let me talk about this. There are students, you know what? There are many students who write to me and say, sir, there are some things, we don't understand why teachers share those things with us. There are no marks for that. You don't just study for marks. And if you do, you're a big loser. You don't study just for marks. Sometimes you study because you have to know those things. And knowledge is, it never goes to waste. You don't know which one fine day it might just come handy, that part, that knowledge that you have, that you possess. So don't tell me something that you hear, if it's not applicable only strictly from the exam point of view, is useless. It's not like that. Please try to understand that things are important. That's why they are shared. Very, very important. So hopefully you've understood the logic. Yes, there are figures of speech to be studied. Let's go through them. How the king praised him, gave him many a gem, is it not? So that's repetition. Why is that repetition? Because the word him has been repeated. The singer sang, that's alliteration. The sound S has been repeated. That's why it's alliteration, quite simple to understand there. Burning like a pyre. Now this is the second time I believe that we are studying an example of simile. On the last slide also we had an example of simile. The burning body, okay, during the final riots, of course, has been directly compared with the burning pyre. So his body that started burning because he sung the Deepak Rag is directly compared. So that's why you have it as a simile. Again, if you want to make your notes, you can pause the video. Kindly allow me to go to the next slide, please. His body burst into consuming flame. To cure his burning heart, a maiden came. Now, cure is to heal, make healthy. Maiden is a young girl, unmarried woman. So she came, and then she thought of curing his, his burning sensation. And we will find out what she did in the next couplet. But let's just get this one done. To cure his burning heart, a maiden came is a very interesting figure of speech. But then let's do it when we study grammar. Okay. The next couplet then. And sang Malhar, the song of water cold, till health returned and comfort as of old. So what did the maiden do? Well, she came and she started singing the Malhar Rag. Remember, this is power. Music has a lot of power, and indeed, it is widely documented that if Deepak Rag is sung properly, it induces fire. And when Tansen, the great singer, he started singing, well, then his body started burning, or at least he had this burning sensation. Let's settle for that. Then a young, woman, a maiden came and she started singing Malhar to heal, to bring him some comfort as he was feeling previously. So look at the talent you had then. So one singer sings the Deepak Rag and feels uncomfortable because of the heat generated, and then there comes another great singer and she sings Malhar and brings him comfort. Isn't that amazing? Just amazing. And yes, music can have that effect. We have now seen that science has accepted this, that there is something called as a music therapy. Plants respond to music. In 8th standard, there's this wonderful chapter, Revati's musical plants. I'm sure you remember that. There have been experiments conducted for this. Music has a definite impact even on plants. I believe that there was one experiment that I surely know about. There were two plants, and one of them was exposed to rock metal music, and one of them to soft music. And definitely there was a visible difference between the way the trees, or rather that plant, grew and the way it gave flowers. Everything was different, noticeable difference. So music has got its own power, and that's why they say there's nothing like music. All right, now we will go through the figures of speech. I said there are many, so here we go. There are 4 of them to be studied, in fact. His body burst into consuming flame. So here you have alliteration because the sound B has been repeated for a better poetic effect. The sound B, body burst. To cure his burning heart, a maiden came. I told you that this was very important. In fact, you can go ahead and mark this with an asterisk because clearly this is more likely to be asked. There are three different distinct figures of speech that you need to mention. First one is Synecdoche. I want you to be very particular about this. Synecdoche, first of all, that's the pronunciation. The spelling is Synecdoche. And why is it Synecdoche? Because the heart stands for the entire body. Now let me explain that. What do I mean heart stands for the entire body? To cure his burning heart, can it happen that there was heat sensation only in his heart? No, he must be feeling that warmth, that heat, because he sang the Rag Malhar, is it not? So heart doesn't only stand for heart. Heart stands for the entire body. That's why you say that it is Synecdoche. Please remember this. It's part for the whole. Here, heart stands for the entire body. That's how you have to study. Next one, you have three different figures of speech. The next one is inversion. Why do I say it's inversion here? The correct word order should be a maiden came to cure his burning heart. How is that mentioned by the poet? The poet says to cure his burning heart, a maiden came. That is not the right order. Last but not the least, alliteration. The sound C has been repeated for cure and came. Another thing that you should notice here is that how I have gone in the descending order. I have first mentioned Synecdoche, then inversion, and then alliteration. And I strongly suggest that you do this. As a teacher, I want you to go in that descending order. I don't want you to write alliteration first. I mean, that's so easy to spot. Anybody would do that. First, impress the examiner and convey that you know Synecdoche, word about it. Then go ahead and mention inversion. Last but not the least, sure, you can mention that, hey, I spotted that the sound C is also getting repeated. Don't start with alliteration. Next, the line, the part, and sang Malhar, the song of, so here you have sound S being repeated, that's why it's alliteration, sang and song. The last is sang the song of water cold. So it's inversion. It cannot be water cold, right? It has to be the song of cold water, not water cold, as the poet has written it. I think we had really very interesting figures of speech here on this slide. So please pause the video. I'm sure you want to make your notes. Kindly pause and of course allow me at the moment to go to the next one. You can, if you had paused the video, you can resume if you are ready, okay? Whenever you are ready. Again, pay undivided attention. Give me your 100% undivided attention. Let's move on to that interesting story. Now we are slowly approaching the main story here, which you are going to love. Mighty thy teacher must be and divine, great Akbar said. Magic indeed is thine. Now we start, approaching that part where there is extensive use of the archaic words. Mighty is very strong and powerful. And Akbar said that if you sing so well, your guru also must be somebody really mighty and divine. It's 100% a fact, is it not? I mean, if you sing very well, people are bound to say that if you are so great, then we can only imagine how your guru must be. That's nice. That's nice. So every time applies to me as well. You know, when students get some compliments and praises, say, hey, your English is quite fluent. Well, I feel that. I feel the honor myself. So here Akbar is saying that if you sing so well, Tansen, I can imagine your teacher must be very mighty, must be a great singer. If you are so legendary, imagine how he sings. We are talking about the one that we've already talked about in the intro. Remember? Tansen's Ustadji. We'll learn more about it. Learned at his feet. Then happy Tansen bowed and said, beyond the world's ignoble crowd, and we will take the story forward in the next couplet, but ignoble means not honorable or not worthy. You'll find that in those days, it was very common for people to dismiss or discard everything, the material comforts, and then seek bliss in solitude, go to Himalayas maybe. So he doesn't stay in the society as we know. He is far away from the crowd. But yeah, what you say is right. Yeah, I respect him and he is really great, I feel. As far as language study is concerned, the observation is what I already shared with you, the start for the archaic word. So thine here is the word for yours, and thy means your. Guys, notice the difference. Notice the difference. Thine is yours and thy is your. There's a small difference. They are not the same. For the figures of speech, mighty thy teacher must be and divine. This is again inversion because the correct order should be thy teacher must be mighty and divine. How has the poet put forward this idea? Mighty thy teacher must be and divine. Here there is an interesting thing. The punctuation dash, it has been used here. You can see there, it's at least what, like 4 to 5 times there. What does that dash suggest, or what does that depict or show? It shows the missing fragments or parts, even omission. And this could be a poetic device question. Guys, this is very important. You must have noticed that this poem has the use of dashes, and there are quite 4 to 5 of them in these, couple of couplets. Now, it shows that probably the poem has some other content that has been omitted because we only want to keep the interesting parts. That's number one. And number two, it can also suggest pause sometimes. So those are the two uses of whenever you have dash as a punctuation mark. Here I think it represents omission. Okay, just remember that it's a question for 1 mark, probably as a poetic device question. Your teacher also, while teaching this, might ask you this question. She should or he should. Make notes. You can pause. Of course, please allow me to go to the next one. Again, give me your 100% undivided attention. We have studied thus far that Akbar is really happy, and he says that Tansen, if you sing so well, man, your teacher must be something. Now Akbar will probably, feel the need to pay a visit. So he will ask Tansen if that's possible. Let's read now. Scorning its wealth, remote and far away, he dwells within a cave of Himalaya. I told you that he seeks solitude, the master. So here Tansen is saying this to Akbar, that he stays far away, he dwells in a cave in Himalaya. He has no love for the material comforts. Scorning is contempt. That's a very good word, okay? Disdain is yet another word from vocabulary. Keep that in mind. Simple word is reject. Do not want something. Reject. Dwells is to stay or to reside. Remember the S making the Z sound we talked about? It's not reside, it's reside. Okay? The next one. Could I but see him once, desired the king. Akbar has posed a question here. Could I but see him once, desired the king. Sit at his feet a while and listening. So Akbar clearly is expressing his desire that I want to be at his feet and listen to the great singer, because I can only imagine the kind of happiness that I will get or I will derive if listening to you makes me so happy. I can only imagine. I can multiply that, is it not? What I would feel if I get the opportunity to listen to your guru. This reminds me, making a request is an art, and you should keep this in mind. Whenever you have an opportunity to meet somebody who is famous, somebody who is well known, somebody who is respected, somebody who is a celebrity or whatever, if you have a request, be humble about it. I have seen, it's really flabbergasting at times how people ask celebrities for selfies and photos. There is a way you want to go about it. You want to approach being humble, make a sincere request that a big fan, and if it's okay with you, can I please have a selfie with you? You put forward that idea in this way, and I tell you the celebrity would respond accordingly. But some people approach the celebrity as if they are a celebrity all by themselves. They feel sometimes that that celebrity might need a selfie with me, who knows. But that's not the way. So come on. Here Akbar, we're talking about the emperor, but now whose need is it? It's Akbar's need. So you forget that you are an emperor someplace. Doesn't matter. Not interested. Because he is wishful of listening to Guru's song, he is saying, is that possible? I want to sit at his feet and listen to him singing. Is that possible? And now we will, when we go ahead in the poem, we'll find out that Akbar is, really, really willing to go far in his pursuit, in this pursuit, because he wants to listen to the great Ustadji. Find out more. Okay. Now there is this word remote, which means far away. That's why you call the remote of your television so, because you operate it from a distance, is it not? A remote. That's why you say remote. As far as the language study is concerned, you have this AL thing. That's very important, this AL. The words have all, but you don't spell it as ALL. For example, all right, when you put it together, is all right. When you have all together, you write it as all together, but then you don't write it as ALL. Similarly, albeit, you write it as albeit, but with a single L. Albeit is kind of although in meaning. Okay, please make a note of that, guys. It is for such things that you attend my lectures, is it not? I mean, the point is, I just don't go about just a bookish explanation. There are so many things and facets to show. And one thing good about it is, lately I have started receiving a lot of emails praising the effort that the videos for English medium are strictly in English. Earlier there was a lot of trolling that why don't you use Hindi, and I made it very clear why I don't. 9th and 10th standard English medium student wanting the explanation in Hindi is laughable. It's laughable. So now lately people have understood the concept of why it is to be done. Plus, very honestly and with full humility, whenever it is that you listen to my lectures, you get to listen to some plain Indian neutral accent and some fluent English, I feel. And that's the need. Because then when you listen to it, we talked about it some lectures ago, you listen to good speakers and then you are bound to pick up something and you will benefit. And I want that to happen. That's why I could so easily do this in Hindi. I can. It's not that I can't. But the thing, you might have watched my videos in Marathi as well. For Marathi medium, I do that. English medium students, you still want the explanation in Hindi? Nah, I'm not falling for that. I'm not falling for that. You have to develop certain grade of fluency. Anyway, thanks for appreciating the point of view, by the way. Lately, I have received a lot of mails and now we realize why the explanation has to be in English, 100% in English. People understand. Anyway, as far as the figures of speech are concerned, remote and far away mean the same thing. Remote and far away, both the words mean the same. So that's tautology. L-O-G-Y is the logy. The words remote and far away almost mean the same. Please write it with the explanation, don't just mention the figures of speech. Could I but see him once? Remember there's this line. So in the second couplet, it's inversion. Why? The poet says, could I but see him once? The poet has written thus. Actually, the word order should be, but could I see him once? That is how it should have been. And that's why it is inversion. You can pause the video. Please allow me to go to the next one. Give me your 100% undivided attention. Now, Akbar will continue his request. Remember, he wants to listen to the song. So let's continue. Hear his celestial song I would deny, my state and walk in robes of poverty. Guys, the word is poverty. Please do not make the pronunciation or don't pronounce it as poverty. It is P-O, but the right sound is poverty. What did he say? Hear his celestial song, I would deny, my state and walk in robes of poverty. Akbar here says, celestial by the way is relating to the heaven. The heavenly, it's a great experience that's going to be. Robes are the outer loose garment. Okay. So Akbar is saying that I would sacrifice everything if I get the opportunity to listen to your great maestro. Believe me, Tansen, I will give up everything. I will even give away my royal clothes and I will just wear something that is very simple. But I would love to listen to your singer, please. The great master, that is, the great Ustadji. Then said Tansen, as you desire, Huzur, indeed 'twere better as a slave and poor. Now, 'twere apostrophe T, W-E-R-E is again an example of an archaic word. The meaning is it would be better. That's the meaning there. It would be better. So Tansen said, okay, if you are, if you wish so strongly about it, then sure, as you please, Your Majesty. Huzur again is a example of code mixing you see there in language study. And it will be better. I don't want you to come there as a king to show off your riches and your luxury, because my master will not care for it. And if my master knows about your riches, about your name, fame, and glory, there are chances that he might not sing for you. Because if he cared for luxury, he would not be dwelling in Himalaya. I hope you are getting this. That's why Tansen said, what you're saying makes sense. And in fact, it will be better if you do it that way. So let's go to my Ustadji. And yes, you should probably dress in a very simple way. Don't reveal, do not let your clothing reveal who you really are back in the world. So let's see now whether he will be blessed with a song or not. But before that, some grammar entries. As a slave and poor. So that's again tautology, because remote and far away we saw on the previous slide. Here slave and poor, both the words almost mean the same. Then said Tansen is inversion. Okay, the correct word order should be then Tansen said. Just 3 words, but there is inversion. Kindly make your notes, pause the video, allow me to go to the next one. Now we are really coming to that interesting point, the meeting between Swamiji and Akbar. Let's find out what will happen. To come, for he lifted above the kings of earth, disdains to sing to earthly kings. So here Tansen is making things very clear. By earthly, we mean related to human life, the mortal world. Okay, Tansen makes it very clear that it would be better, we saw it in the previous slide, that it would really be better if you come there dressed simply, because if my master, if my guru realizes that you're somebody who's a king, well, there are chances that he might not sing, because he disdains the material comforts. He has no love for that. That's why he dwells in Himalaya. Long was the road. So clearly now the journey has started, guys. Long was the road, and Akbar as a slave followed Tansen, who rode towards the cave. Now, clearly there will be interesting figures of speech here. Let's first study the language study section. Again, some homophones there. Road, R-O-A-D, and road, R-O-D-E. Ride, rode, the past tense. Similarly, you have to, T-O, to, T-W-O, to, T-W-O. Sometimes you have 3 words with the same sound. Let's very quickly, we saw the example of to, T-O, and T-W-O. 3 words with the same sound. Can you quickly come up with one more example? 3 words with the same sound. I'll tell you. By, B-Y, by, B-U-Y, by, B-Y-A, which I shall say at the end of the video. So there are words where, there are 3 words with the same sound. That's English for you. Now we are coming to the point where the meeting now shall take place, but there's just one figures of speech. Long was the road. I told you interesting figures of speech. Long was the road. Well, that's not the right order. The right word order should be the road was long. Again, as usual, pause the video, make your notes, resume when ready. High in the mountains. Remember, we're talking about Himalaya here. High in the mountains, at the singer's feet, they knelt, case island there. They knelt, past tense of kneel. They knelt and prayed with supplications sweet. Now, knelt means go down on your knees. The past tense of kneel, okay? Bend down. I think the notes say that it is feel on the knees, but it's actually fell on the knees. Just a minor correction there. It's not fell. It is fell, in fact, not feel, the way you see here. So just a small correction here. Fell on the knees, okay? Not feel on the knees. Just a small correction there. Now, What do you have here? Let me come on the main cam. That's why it's important to do some proofreading as well there, isn't it? It's very important that you go ahead and do some proofreading. Let me just quickly come to that. And yeah, supplication was another word to be studied. Let's talk about supplication. Supplication means beg for something, strongly request for something, earnestly request for something. That's supplication, of course, with humility. Shrine is a place regarded holy due to religious associations or sentiments, but that's in the next couplet. Let me read that and then I'll explain. Towards thy shrine, lo, we have journeyed long, O holy master, bless us with thy song. Again, archaic words there. You see, thy song, your song. So Akbar is here saying that we have journeyed long. First of all, the scene is set. High mountains of Himalaya, they are there sitting at the singer's feet because Akbar has this wish to listen to his song, and he's paid his homage, respect. Akbar is saying that we have traveled long, we have undertaken a great journey to come to you. So, O Master, O Holy Master, bless us with thy song. And this is again going back to that part where you request people for something. Don't just order a celebrity, you can request. That's always the way to go. Now there will be some interesting language study, I'm sure. What's that? Interjections. Now this is something that you necessarily need to make a note of. Interjections. Remember the parts of speech: noun, adjective, pronoun, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. So here you have one example. Lo. That's an exclamation of surprise or an attempt to draw attention of someone or something to something interesting. The other word, well, that's my favorite actually, drat. To show some mild annoyance, you can say drat. It's an exclamation, it's an interjection. The other one is ah. That's an exclamation to show horror or rage. Ah. And the spelling is AAARGH. Okay? And the last one is abracadabra. I'm sure you've heard of this. But you must have heard magicians use this a lot. Abracadabra. They cast the spell and then they conjure something or they show you the tricks. As far as figures of speech are concerned, at the singer's feet, and that whole line is inversion. What should be the correct word order there? They knelt and prayed with supplication sweet at the singer's feet. That's what it is. O Holy Master, bless us with thy song. Exclamation, strong emotions have been expressed. Please remember that this is one of the easiest figures of speech. Whenever you have an exclamatory mark, you can write it down as exclamation. It's very easy to spot. It's easy 1 mark for you there, if that happens. Let's proceed. Then, Ustad. Now, this is again something very important to note in English, that there can be variations in the spelling. Look at this word Ustad. Now it's U-S-T-A-D. It can also be spelled as O-S-T-A-D. Please remember that. Okay. Then Ustad won by their humility. We have already talked about how you can, how you need to pronounce it as won and not won or something like that. Sang songs of peace and high felicity. The Malka Usrag, all ecstatic rang, till birds and beasts enchanted as he sang. This reminds me of Lord Krishna when he used to play the flute. The birds and animals used to be there. Of course, Radha was attracted, but along with that, there were birds and animals also enchanted and spellbound. They used to come there to listen to the mellifluous flute. Find out the meaning. Mellifluous. Now, here, the singer sang so well, Ustad Ji sang so well that the birds and the beasts had gathered there to listen to that. It was divine. It was a great, great example and epitome of singing, classical singing. So the birds and the beasts had gathered there, and there is again interesting vocabulary. Humility, being humble. Felicity, which means total happiness. You remember we saw the word enraptured earlier? Then ecstatic, blissful and joyful, and enchanted is spellbound. mesmerized or charmed, something like that. This is the third rag that we learned in this poem. You remember? First of all, we saw that Tansen sang the Deepak rag, if you remember. Then we studied about the Malhar rag, that the maiden sang. And here now you have the great Ustadji singing the Malkaus rag. Now I play the keyboard. So for keyboard, you don't learn rag all that much. But from what I know and what I've heard is Malkaus rag is a very sweet rag. That's what I've heard. I have a great idea though. Watch till the end. A great idea for the rag and some ideas for nice assignments. Watch the video till the end. So the Ustadji, he sang Malkaus rag and everybody was just enchanted. Let alone the human beings there, Tansen and Akbar, even the birds and the beasts had gathered there. Language study. A chord mixing example, Ustad there, Guru, a teacher or a guide. I've told you the spelling can also be USTAD. Figures of speech. Sang songs of peace. You clearly have the sound S repeated. So it's an example of alliteration. Till birds and beasts is also where the sound B is repeated. Again, an example of alliteration. Please pause the video if you are wishful of making notes. Kindly allow me to go to the next one. Now we are almost coming to the climax. And believe me, you want to listen to the climax. I've told you that. Okay. Gathered to hear over Akbar's dreaming soul, he felt the waves of heavenly rapture roll. Now Akbar was totally spellbound and there were many others surrounding them, and rapture roll is like intense joy, Brahmanand, okay, total pleasure, and he felt the waves of heavenly rapture. He was totally in different state altogether. Music has the power. It does take you, it transports you someplace else. But as he turned to speak his words of praise, Ustad had vanished from his wondering gaze. Now this is something so important, and shows what a great personality Ustadji really was. And this is a sign, a hallmark of a great man or a woman, great personality. They will do their work. You wanted to listen to a song? Fine, I sang you. Okay, I sang for you. I sang a song for you. I don't want praise from you. I don't want you to tell me that I sing well. I'm not interested in listening to my own praise. So Ustadji sang, and the moment when Akbar, I'm sure he must have kept his eyes closed all the time, like what music is this? The moment he opened his eyes and turned to speak to the great Ustad, he was not there. It vanished, it gone away. Okay. So they don't like listening to their own praise. Very important. And you should incorporate this in your behavior as well. Praising others, welcome. And you hear a lot of praise for your own self, just always dismiss it as okay. Don't let it, invite more ego. So, great example here. Ustadji was not there. You came with a request. You made the request in a humble manner. Fine, I sang for you. But now I don't want to listen to praise. So Ustadji vanished from there. He was not there. So Akbar wanted to praise, but Ustadji is not there. As far as language study is concerned, apostrophe. Ode apostrophe ER is over. Now apostrophe is used to show missing characters. I'm sure you have heard of I have I apostrophe VE. So that apostrophe is missing HA there. Whenever you write the contracted forms, how do you write isn't? ISN apostrophe T. So that apostrophe is for O. Apostrophe is used to show the missing letters or missing characters. So use of apostrophe there. Heavenly rapture roll for the sound R. This is a great example of alliteration. And now let's bring this poem to a climax. So interesting. Tell me, now of course Ustadji wasn't there. Akbar wanted to praise him, but he's not there. He left the scene. Tell me, Tansen, what theme this is that holds the soul enchanted and the heart enfolds. Now Akbar is clearly asking this question to Tansen and wants to know what kind of art form is this? It's unbelievable. It's something out of this world. Can you tell me what theme this is? What kind of art is this? What kind of talent is this? Next level. In high delight, by the way, the word enfold is surround, okay, or envelope. The word envelope is in the verb form. If you use it as a noun form, then it becomes envelope. Guys, very important, okay? What did I just say? E-N-V-E-L-O-P. When you use it as a verb form, you say envelope. That is to surround, envelope. When you use it as a noun, then you say the envelope. Very important. Next stanza, not stanza, the next couplet, I beg your pardon. In high delight, and when he knew the name, so Tansen shared the name. I have already shared the name with you. I've already done that. Tell me, again he said, could you the same? So Tansen is now asking a question. Rather, Akbar is asking Tansen this question. I have heard your master now. Now just answer me. Do you also, Tansen, do you have this same ability, and can you sing for me in the same way like your Ustad ji sang right now? Can you do that? Do you have that ability? Can you also sing it the same way? Now, that's why I love the climax. You got to listen to this. It's just amazing, okay? Watch Tansen's response here. He says, but let's finish the question. Akbar is asking. Theme sing to lure my heart to paths untrod. So can you also sing something in a similar way that really attracts my heart every time and just takes me to some place that I've never traveled? Untrod is not having traveled to a particular place, okay? So can you sing like that for me? And now the last, the ultimate epic response. Tansen says, no, to thee I sing. He sings to God. What a response. What a response. Tansen made it very clear that try hard as I might, there will always be a difference between the way I sing and the way my guru sings. There shall be always a difference. The difference is I sing for you, for an earthly king, for material comforts. You bestow me with gems and jewelry. We saw that in the introduction at the introductory part of the poem. Remember? And my great Ustadji here, he has no liking for that. So I sing to thee. Thee means you. To you, Emperor Akbar. And he sings to the emperors of the emperor. So there will always be a difference between the way I sing and the quality and the way my master sing. Pardon, but that will always stay that way. My master will always remain my master. My guru will always remain and shall remain my guru forever. What a response. Absolutely delightful. Absolutely delightful. Paying respect to the teacher. The language study then. I talked about the dash earlier. Remember, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 places. Am I right? 7? Yeah, 7 different places where you have dash over here. Shows the missing parts or components. Archaic word used here is the thee, which means you. We've seen that previously. Now, the figures of speech here, tell me, Tansen, can be alliteration. Again, he said is inversion. He said again should be the right way. My heart to paths untrod clearly is a question posed by Akbar to Tansen. So it's interrogation. Please, please, please bear in mind that it is interrogation with a double R. The spellings, please work on your spellings. The last but not the least, I sing and he sings. So that's repetition for the word sing that is repeated for a better poetic effect. Now, we are going to study the critical appreciation. We are going to deal with some textual assignments. But remember what I said. There is an interesting idea that I'm going to share with you later. Talking about classical music and rag. I've got something in mind. Let's see what textual assignment comes first. Will we go for critical appreciation straight away? No. This is a textual exercise. Pick out the archaic words from the poem and give their modern equivalents. Die, thine, twere, over, thee. I don't mind if you want to pause the video. In fact, you should pause the video, Whenever you have the answers, you can resume. Well, I hope that you had paused. So here are the answers. Be honest. Did you get them all? Did you get them all? Huh? Let me know. Next one. Now we will move to that critical appreciation. It's so important. And then we'll talk about a wonderful assignment. Before I do the critical appreciation, I always say this. Guys, I always provide the critical appreciation whenever I teach any poem. The logic is not to spoon feed you. I don't want you to just go ahead and copy my answer. That's my answer. That's of course based on the proper format and everything. It covers all the points that you should essentially cover. But then don't just copy. You can add your own things to that. Your interpretation can be a little different. It's just to give you some idea. Yeah, of course, some parts you can definitely take from here. For sure, there's quality there. But don't let it just be the same to same. Work hard. So the critical appreciation, let me show that, and of course, then let's go ahead and read it. Okay, here we go. The poem Tansen has been written by Hazrat Inayat Khan. I told you that the spelling better, well, it would have been better if it was Hazrat. This is a narrative form of poetry. The poem depicts Akbar's appreciation for Tansen's Ustadji. The lines have a couplet arrangement and the rhyme scheme throughout the poem is A. The poet has made use of a wide range of figures of speech such as alliteration, repetition, simile, synecdoche, etc. There is also inversion that has been beautifully used in the line. Mighty thy teacher must be and divine. The line should be thy teacher must be mighty and divine. The poem conveys that great things can be accomplished if one dedicates his or her life in pursuit of something. There are forces beyond the control of mortal humans, and we must pay due respects wherever and whenever such greatness is witnessed. My favorite line is the last line for me. It sums up the whole idea. Ah, no, to thee I sing, he sings to God. So here you see that I have provided this critical appreciation in a paragraph manner. If your teacher wants you to write it in points, then you can of course make points like the title, then the figures of speech, the rhyme scheme, and so on. You can do it as a fact file. I have provided that to you in a paragraph format. We have talked about this previously about how nowadays you make new paragraphs. You leave a line, start all the way from the left. You leave a space of about 2 fingers from the margin. That's we talked about it some videos ago. Just remember those things, okay? And now let's talk about this. This is so interesting. I'll talk about it. Let me just read it. Indian classical music consists of many ragas. Find out from an expert, or the internet, if you have nobody, the names of at least 10 ragas and the time when they are sung to produce greater effect. Now here is what I have in my mind, okay? This is a great assignment and could be a great idea. So hopefully I should see that on the YouTube, someone making a video like this. What are the great ideas, okay? The idea is that if you have a senior singer, if you know a great singer or an expert classical singer who is well versed with ragas, but here is a good idea. And especially people like me would enjoy watching it, is it not? I have already mentioned that I play the keyboards. So we don't learn rag all that much. I would love to learn more about it. We don't enjoy listening to a 3-hour concert. Not many people do. But here is a great idea. And this textbook assignment actually made me think of this. So the idea is that there could be someone doing this video, like have the interview conducted of a senior singer, okay? And you can make it a short video of like 4 to 5 minutes only. And you can make part 1, part 2, episode 1, episode 2, and in every episode cover one rag. And what could you do? You could cover the name of the rag, the classification, show the ascension and the descent, the aroha and avaroha. The great singer could show us that. And you can also talk about what are the exclusions, the varja swar as they say. You can talk about what is the ideal time during the day when the rag should be sung and to what effect, something like that. And it could be a small video for one rag, about 4 to 5 minutes even. That could be a nice series. How wonderful. And then the senior singer would also probably get the due attention and respect, and more people would start listening to rag, although they might not just go ahead and straight away buy a ticket for 3 hours. So this might just spark the interest, because this is the richness of our country and culture, is it not? So I just thought that this is a great idea. So what are the things that I wanted the video to cover? There could be, even you can do that. Name of the rag, it should be a small video, okay, 4 to 5 minutes. The ascension and the descent, as I said, the aroha, avaroha, the exclusions, ideal time for singing it, some famous references. Yeah, that could be also included. Is there any famous song based on that rag or something like that? And every time you could cover one rag at a time. All right then. So thank you so much for listening to this. And remember, the information I shared about Tansen and talking about rewriting the history books, please share your thoughts and let me know if you enjoyed this lecture. I already had told you that this lecture could be a little longer than the usual half an hour or 45-minute thing. We're talking for almost an hour and a couple of minutes now. So let me know. You can write an email as well, put your ideas and compose an email. We will meet again very soon. The revision will now pick up speed. This is almost the end of this horrible year 2020, and we will meet again very soon. Up until that time, do take care.